Mine, I want to invite your attention, please, to the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament. I want to focus on 1 Samuel, chapter number 1, starting verse number 4. I will confess now I have a lot to read, so I don't want you to wonder how far it's going to last. You're going to read from verses 4 down to verse 28. 1 Samuel, chapter number 1, starting in verse number 4. When you shall have found it, say amen, and stand to your feet to honor the reading of this portion of the Bible. On the day when Elkanah sacrificed, he would give a portion to his wife, Peninnah, and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah, he gave a double portion, because he loved her, though the Lord had closed her womb. Her rival used to provoke her severely, to irritate her, because the Lord had closed her womb. So it went on year by year, as often as she went up to the house of the Lord, she used to provoke her. Therefore Hannah wept and would not eat. Her husband Elkanah said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? Why is your heart sad? Am I not more to you than 10 sons? And after they had eaten and drunk at Shiloh, Hannah rose and presented herself before the Lord. Now Eli the priest was sitting on the seat beside the doorpost of the temple of the Lord. She was deeply distressed and prayed to the Lord and wept bitterly. She made a vow, O Lord of hosts, if only you will look on the misery of your servant and remember me, and not forget your servant, but will give to your servant a male child, then I will set him before you as a Nazarite until the day of his death. He shall drink neither wine nor intoxicants, and no razor shall touch his head. As she continued praying before the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying silently, only her mouth moved. But her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. So Eli said to her, how long will you make a drunken spectacle of yourself? Put away your wine. But Hannah answered, no, my Lord. I am a woman deeply troubled. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have been pouring out my soul before the Lord. Do not regard your servant as a worthless woman, for I have been speaking out of my great anxiety and vexation all this time. Then Eli answered, go in peace. The God of Israel grant the petition you have made to him. And she said, let your servant find favor in your sight. Then the woman went to her quarters, ate and drank with her husband, and her countenance was sad no longer. They rose early in the morning and worshiped before the Lord. Then they went back to their house at Ramah. Elkanah knew his wife Hannah, and the Lord remembered her. In due time, Hannah conceived and bore a son. She named him Samuel, for she said, I have asked him of the Lord. The man Elkanah, his household went up to offer to the Lord the yearly sacrifices and to pay his vow. But Hannah did not go up, for she said to her husband, as soon as the child is weaned, I will bring him, that he may appear in the of the Lord and remain there. I will offer him as a Nazarite for all time. Her husband Elkanah said to her, do what seems best to you. Wait until you have weaned him. Only may the Lord establish his word. So the woman remained and nursed her son until she weaned him. When she had weaned him, she took him up with her along with a 3-year-old bull, an ephah of flour and a skin of wine. She brought him to the house of the Lord at Shiloh, and the child was young. Then they slaughtered the bull. They brought the child to Eli. And she said, oh, my Lord, as you live, my Lord, I am the woman who was standing here in your presence, praying to the Lord. For this child I prayed for, and the Lord has granted me the petition that I made. Therefore I have linked him to the Lord. As long as he lives, he is given to the Lord. She left him there for the Lord. I want to preach for about 10-15 minutes, no joke, from the subject, God is up to something. God is up to something. Turn and tell somebody, neighbor, don't know what you're going through, but I've come to tell you, God is up to something. Turn and tell somebody else, neighbor, just before I gave up, I realized God is up to something. Give God a praise. God is up to something. First Samuel is the story of Samuel, prophet of God, who is best known as a king maker. It is through Samuel's life and ministry that we are introduced to Israel's first king, Saul, and the second and perhaps more famous, King David. Samuel was the one that God used to declare God's favor, first upon Saul, and ultimately upon little boy, shepherd boy named David. But 1 Samuel begins with the story of how he got here. You know, all of us have a story how we got here, right? Samuel is no different. His story shows us that not only is life rough, but sometimes even getting here is a hard thing. I wish I had a witness here. Trouble don't start once you're born. Sometimes trouble shows up at the point of conception. Samuel's story is not one where everything worked out good. In fact, if you want to be honest, Samuel, the kingmaker story, begins with a cast of characters. There are 4 characters in this text I read. There are 2 supporting characters and 2 who represent main roles in this play. The first character is the brother named Elkanah. Elkanah was the husband of Hannah and the husband of Peninnah. What was his problem? I just said it right there. Brother had 2 wives. Are y'all here? Help me, Holy Ghost, lest I get in trouble here. He was a brother that had drama in his own family. That was his problem. Peninnah is the second supporting character. She was the other wife, the one other than Hannah. Let me pause here and get in trouble today for all you who want biblical marriages. Are y'all not calling for polygamy? That's what I thought. That's what I thought. He didn't have a wife and a girlfriend. He had papers on them both. Hannah was one, and Peninnah was the other. What was her problem? She could have baby after baby, but she couldn't get her husband's heart. I wonder if anybody here know what I'm talking about. The more you deliver, it seems like they pay you no mind. She had a problem. Now the leading characters, they do have problem. The first is Hannah. Don't know about her background, therefore I can use my sanctified imagination. And I can see her growing up in a nice stable home with two parents who loved her severely. I see her going on to high school, being a cheerleader on the cheerleading squad, getting a scholarship to UNC Chapel Hill, living the life on campus, getting her degree, and maybe in the process she met some brother by the name of Elkanah. I don't see her being a tall brother, but sometimes brothers who are not all of that wind up getting the blessings in life. They met, decided to get married, but something was wrong. No matter how hard they tried, never could she conceive and bring forth a son. They tried and tried and tried, but God couldn't let that happen at that time. Because she couldn't conceive, that woman named Peninnah, y'all know her, right? The one who had the babies but didn't have the husband's heart. That woman began to criticize her. She began to make fun of her and joke and mock her. You know, sometimes folk hurt you because they themselves are hurt. Yeah, Peninnah used to probably tell Hannah, yeah, I gotta go now. I can't stay here all day. I gotta go and take care of the babies. You know how that is, don't you? Oh, no, you don't. Yeah, you know, that boy of mine that's cried all last night. I don't know how I'm ever get some sleep. Can you watch my baby since you ain't got none? Folks don't have to punch you to hurt you. They can stab you with their words, then any sharp knife they may have. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. That's a lie. Words hurt. Yeah, she had a problem, couldn't have a baby, and she was hurt, and she was so righteous. And then you have Eli, the preacher man. Yeah, he was ordained, went to seminary, had church, but he still had problems. I wish I had somebody besides Reverend Jonathan and Reverend Sanford who understood preachers have problems too. It's a fool that thinks if you don this robe and put on this collar, all your troubles go away. That's when trouble starts. Yeah. And Eli had problems. What was his problems? He had two sons, Hophni and Phinehas. And one translation says they were scoundrels. They did not respect God and did not respect God's people. Be careful how God's people get treated. Eli was a preacher, but didn't even have enough power to make two sons come together and do what they had to do. So far, all you see are problems. Problems with delivery, problems in a family, problems with leadership. But I want to tell you, in the midst of all Whitney Houston raised the question in her song, where do broken hearts go? I want to tell you, broken hearts only go to God and God's church. Quiet is kept, but then these four walls today, there's a whole lot of hurt. Just because we're here and we can give God praise don't mean there's not some pain and problems in our lives. Anybody want to help me? She went to God's house, and Hannah didn't ask for nobody. She didn't call no preacher. She didn't call the deacon chair. She didn't ask for no prayer partner. Is there anybody here that knows sometimes it's just about you and God? She came on in to the church house, and I don't believe it was Sunday, but she came in because her heart was heavy. And Hannah had had enough and was at a breaking point. Hannah comes into God's house and takes her seat, I believe on the pew, maybe the fifth or sixth pew in the center. And she got real quiet and she began to pour out her heart to God. She began to tell God all about her trouble. And I don't know how she prayed, but maybe she prayed, Father, I stretch my hands to thee. Maybe she prayed, Lord, I'm tired and weary and about to give up. Maybe she said, Lord, I'm at the end of my rope. Is there anybody here that ever prayed to God out of your hurt and your sorrow and your anguish, and you just told God like it was? It wasn't no pretty prayer. Dear Lord God, I want to thank you for this day and for the grace and mercy that you've given me. I want to thank you for being so kind, God. And I need you to do something today. No, she prayed the prayers already. Sometimes you got to take prayer to a whole other level. Because your heart won't let you rest. She began to pray, but she didn't pray out loud. Because sometimes everybody ought not hear your problem. I said sometimes even in church, everybody can't handle your problem. Be careful how you telling all your business in prayer or telling folks your business to pray for. If you know God like I know God, tell God about it and keep your mouth shut. Question, moving her lips, telling God, in the midst of her prayer, she said, Lord, if you bless me, I'll give it away. Y'all listen. Lord, if you bless me, I'll give it away. Sometimes our prayers don't get answered because we're willing to give it, but not willing to give it away. God, give me a job. Why? So I can go ahead and have a good life and go on vacation and retire. How about, Lord, give me a job so I can tithe on Sunday and bless your folk Monday through Saturday. You got to know how to be blessed by giving it away. He said, Lord, you bless me, I'll give it back. You give me a blessing, I'll give it back to you. Give me, and I'll give it. No, listen. If he blesses me, and I give it away, I only set myself up for another blessing. Yes, I'll give it away. That's what she said. I'll bless, I'll give it away. And then Eli comes to her and said, woman, you drunk. I believe she was praying so hard in the spirit, with words and groanings that cannot be uttered. You don't have to understand my prayer, but you just got to know I know a God that can. She was praying to God, and Eli said, you're drunk. She said, no, Lord, I'm not drunk. I just need to pray until something happens. I need God to hear my prayer. Eli said, girl, get up and go home. God has heard your prayer. And I see Sister Hannah getting up now, getting herself together and going her own way. The Bible tells us she goes home, and after they go back to worship, she go home with her husband, and they get together like adult folk do, and all of a sudden here comes news that Hannah, the one that couldn't have a baby, now is pregnant. And here is where I want to tell y'all, God is up to something. Notice how this works. Everybody had a problem, but look at Hannah and Elkanah. Eli had a problem. Peninnah had a problem. But notice that God was up to something. The boy that Hannah had, she took and gave that boy to Eli, so that Eli wouldn't have to worry about Hophni and Phinehas. Eli said you're drunk, but she was saying, no, I'm not drunk. I just need God to answer my prayer. Listen, in the midst of all those problems, God was up to something. And I've come to tell somebody today, my time is almost up. You have any problems in your life right now? Anybody here got some stuff you can't fix by yourself? Anybody got some situations that you can't turn around by yourself? I've come to let you know when problems come, it's time for us to recognize God is up to something. You got to see in your problems the providential purpose of God, because God has not birthed you into the world, and God has not brought you where you are to forget about you, but God has put you where you are because God has a purpose for your life. And I wish that the purposes of God could be understood by smooth sailing and steady climb, but you will never know God's purpose for your life until you go through some problems, until you have some ups and some downs, until you own your back before God. Because your problems, if you understand them, will only push you into the hands of God. I wonder, is there anybody here that ever had a problem so big and all you could do was find a place to still way down and tell God about it? Maybe it was in church. Maybe it was in a car in a parking lot. Maybe it was in a bathroom at the grocery store. Maybe it was at the library. Maybe it was in the park. But you got by yourself and began to tell God all about your problem. And now when you look back, here's what you see. My problems only serve as opportunity for God to show me His will. I've come to tell you, God is up to something. What does that mean for us, dear me? When I come to problems, I no longer worry about it. I got problems so big sometimes, if I let them, they'll take the best of me. But I learned. I said I learned. When problems come, I go to God and tell God thank you for the problems. Because these problems show me firsthand that you are up to something. And I've lived long enough now to see my problems turn into my praise. I wish I had a witness here. Is there anybody in church that ever had a problem, and when God got done with that problem, all you can do is lift up your hands and give God praise? That's what happened here. In chapter 1, she had a problem. But in chapter 2, she's singing her praise song to God. I'm glad to tell somebody, God is able to take your problems and to work them out and bring about God's purpose. Don't you worry about what you're going through right now. I don't know how bad it is for you. Don't you get caught up on your problems, but get caught up in the fact that God is up to something. Your problems are opportunities for God to work things out. Now do your work it out. Now you know He'll fix it. Now know He'll turn it around. Now know it's broken. Now you know it may not be today, but God will show God is working things out. And if you see me cry today, hold on a little while. The same person that God will tear the church up against it. And tell God thank you for all that you've done. God is good. Trust him. He's got you. God is working things out. My time is up. Thank you.